Hello guys, my name is Bpt1501 Baby J. I'm a first year student at the University of South Africa. My student number is 27858316. I'll be presenting a topic in the grade 4 curriculum of the year. But for me to be able to present this topic, I created a model that I call the visual history. The topic is what makes a good leader. But firstly, what is a leader? A leader is someone who guides people. But the leader must have some qualities, and those qualities have to be good qualities. Namely, the leader has to be fair. The leader has to think carefully about everybody. The leader has to work for the good of others and not for him or herself. The leader has to be brave. The leader has to forgive people. Okay, so I chose an icon that I would like to use in order for me to be able to explain the topic, and that is Dada Nelson Mandela. So we have to know when Dada Nelson Mandela was born and what he did for him to deserve this title, a leader. Okay, Dada Nelson Mandela was born in the Eastern Cape in 18 July 1918. He was born in the villages, and he was influenced by his family values and community struggles, which that says a lot. Okay, so during apartheid, Dada Nelson Mandela was part of the people that fought so hard for apartheid to end. Okay, so it is said that during apartheid, Dada Nelson Mandela was one of the people that fought so hard for apartheid to end. Okay, it is said that apartheid was not fair, and Dada Nelson Mandela and his friend wanted to change South Africa. They wanted apartheid to end. Okay, but before they did that, they had to lead protest marches through streets. They wrote a charter called the Freedom Charter. What did this Freedom Charter say? The Freedom Charter said that the South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. The apartheid government saw that Dada Nelson Mandela was a leader and stood for what he believed was right, which was against the law at that time. Okay, after a close inspection on how the government had divided South Africa into groups during apartheid, Dada Nelson Mandela then saw that life was not fair in South Africa. Back then, a South African was either white or non-white. The white South Africans were treated better than any other South African. Even the houses they lived in were better than any other houses in any other group. Okay, so which means that the whites were the ones that ruled South Africa, if I may say. Okay, so black people were not allowed to sit together with white people, even in public transport. Blacks were not even allowed to vote for leaders in South Africa back then. Fine. Dada Nelson Mandela, along with his friends, because of the leader that he was, a leader that stood for what was right, a leader that did not back down, no matter the consequences, he ended up being arrested in 1962, and that was all because he was fighting for what was right. And because of fighting for what was right, he was imprisoned for 27 years in the Robben Island. Okay, he was then released after 27 years that he had spent in prison. He was released in 1990. His release was a symbol of the end of apartheid in South Africa. Why? Remember that he stood for what was right, and that was against the law. The fact that they were able to release him from imprisonment meant that they were now agreeing with what he was fighting for. Okay, so Dada Nelson Mandela was then sworn as the black first president in 1994. That's what the picture here says. It says, on this day in 1994, Nelson Mandela took the oath of office in Pretoria to become South Africa's first black president. Okay, as we have seen now that Dada Nelson Mandela led by an example. At the present day today, we have Dada President Cyril Ramaphosa. Okay, in the present time, we have Cyril Ramaphosa, the current president of South Africa, and who also contributes in benefiting the country. How did he contribute? He contributed during the period of COVID. What did he do? President Cyril Ramaphosa introduced social relief distress, which is known as the SRD grant. Okay, this grant was given to the poor by the government, and the beneficiaries are those that do not receive any income, any social grants, or any UIF payments. Okay, by doing this, Cyril Ramaphosa was thinking about the youth of South Africa. What does that leave him as a good leader? Let's go back to the qualities of a good leader. They say that the good leader has to be fair, has to work for the good of others. He worked for the good of others. And why did he do that? Because he took the seat that Tata Nelson Mandela once sat in before. So he had to set an example. So Tata Nelson Mandela set an example for Cyril Ramaphosa and the future president. That was all for the topic that says what makes a good leader. This is Bajabile Mpaisa again. Thank you. Oh, yeah.